How is it going, everyone? Here is another daily video that is a meltdown about PlayStation's live service situation. Obviously, with the reveal of Horizon Hunters Gathering and it getting a mixed reception at best. Yes, you have to wait and play it before you judge it goblins out there that are gonna defend it, and not necessarily I care about them defending it. Rather, it's the attack on people that have an opinion on the game based on promotional material, which again, promotional material is there for people to form an opinion about it. If the promotional material is perceived to be garbage by a significant portion of people, that is their right to say it's garbage. And I am not crazy about Horizon Hunters Gathering. I have made that abundantly clear. However, the point that I've reiterated over and over again when it comes to these games and other PlayStation titles is not just assessing these games in a vacuum. That is what I think a lot of people do. They assess these games in a vacuum, these wait-and-see goblins that did the exact same thing with Highguard. You gotta wait and see, you gotta play the game, and then when the game comes out, and there were people like this with Concord as well, then when the game comes out, it craters. Highguard's at like 4,000 concurrent players. It craters in concurrent player ground. We all just quietly move on, and we just pretend that it didn't even exist, and the wait-and-see goblins, they move on to the next game, and they continue to be wait-and-see goblins when they completely want to ignore the opinion on a game, and how a live service game, especially having this divisive of a reaction, is so bad. They just can't comprehend this idea that may be alienating a significant portion of Horizon fans, literal fans of the IP, taking an IP, which, what is the point of these IPs, by the way, and spinning them into live service games? It's to piggyback on the success of the existing IPs, Horizon, and what they wanted to do with Last of Us, so on and so forth, so they can piggyback on that and have a significant level of interest right out the gate because the IP will offer that. So how do you do that? You bastardize the IP right away with a Fortnite-esque art style? What are we actually doing here when we take IPs and we ruin them, when the point is you're supposed to take the IP and leverage it so you can have a level of interest right out the gate with that? But not only that, when you step outside of the vacuum, you have to remember that this is a main Guerilla title. A significant portion of Guerilla is thought to be working on the game, and that is the question that I already had. Well, Guerrilla's a big studio. Maybe they're working on Horizon 3 concurrently with Horizon Hunters Gathering, because guess what? No spoilers here. Horizon Forbidden West kind of ended on a big cliffhanger. This is a planned trilogy. We need to conclude Aloy's story. Even if you're not a big Horizon fan, wouldn't you want Horizon Saga to be wrapped up so Guerrilla can move on to something else? Oh, I don't know, maybe they'll go back to Killzone, maybe they'll do a new IP that people would be interested in. At the very least, even if you're not a fan of Horizon, you would want them to wrap up this trilogy. Now, what they're doing is they're doing this nonsense spin-off live service game, which is a part of the canon narrative that we all know this isn't gonna be successful at this point. I think everybody's come to that conclusion, and who knows? I've been wrong in the past about certain things, but it didn't take rocket science to figure out Concord was gonna fail. It didn't take rocket science to figure out Highguard was gonna fail. It didn't take rocket science to figure out Helldivers 2 was gonna be successful. So it's not like I've just crapped on every live service game left and right, but it's so obvious to see with Sony when they're so clearly chasing the bag. And I get it, this is a business. We want to monetize these games. We want to get $500 a year out of the whales that are gonna get into these games, but Horizon Hunters Gathering is not that. And now we do know, as reported by Jason Schreier and Kotaku, Horizon Hunters Gathering might seem like just another side project. It's actually the main game many at the Dutch studio are working on right now. Two sources familiar with the state of the franchise told us. According to one source, many of the staff working on Horizon Zero Dawn 3 were pulled over to help with Horizon Hunters Gathering. It would actually just be Horizon 3, but I digress, which Sony has continued to making a multiplayer success. Another source suggested that fans might not see the next true Aloy adventure for 3 to 5 years, which would make it a PlayStation 6 game, though it could appear on PS5 as a cross-gen release. Bloomberg's Jason Schreier insinuated the same. So you take the 3 to 5 year mark. That would be 2029 best case scenario for Horizon 3. That is a 7-year turnaround time from Horizon Forbidden West. Worst case scenario, it's 5 years from now. That would be 2032. A decade from the release of Horizon Forbidden West. You guys, Killzone Shadowfall came out in 2013. Horizon Zero Dawn was revealed in 2015. And we're talking about this trilogy not wrapping up for 17 years, potentially 17 years since the initial reveal, this is a problem, and this is where I constantly go back and why I vehemently now hate the live service model and Sony's desperate push for the live service model, because it's not about this, oh my god, you gotta wait and see before the game comes out. You are viewing it too much in a vacuum at that point. Naughty Dog, iced. Ben Studio, iced for 7 years. Their game, best case scenario, is gonna come out in 2029, 2030. Bluepoint, iced after Demon's Souls remake. And guess what? They have so little respect for you that Ben Studio can be iced for 7 years to do a live service game, and then they can turn around and be like, oh, well, we gotta monetize Ben Studio somehow, and then they'll do Days Gone Remastered, and all of those people that wanted Days Gone 2 go buy the remaster of Days Gone. So I guess you can go prove to them you really wanted Days Gone 2. That is a point that I see some people make, which is insane. Days Gone was a commercial success, and I don't care if it's Ben Studio that decided that they didn't want to do a Days Gone 2 and they wanted to do a live service game. I don't care if it was the head of Ben Studio. I don't care if it was PlayStation. I don't really care if it was the janitor that works at Ben Studio. Who cares? There has to be some thought that goes into this decision making. And people want to say Ben Studio wanted to do a live service game. Well, guess what? Somebody should have realized maybe that wasn't the best idea. And I get it, back in 2019, 2020, when things went full board on the live service push, maybe that's what Ben Studio was pushed to do, and it was just all systems go. Everybody's doing live service. Everybody's going in with this nonsense. But now you can actually see the consequences of that. And like I said before, remember that with these live service games, and I'm not here to just throw every live service game under a blanket. Look, I wanted to see the release of Last of Us Factions. I loved Last of Us's multiplayer on the PlayStation 3. Loved it. Thought it was great. That got canceled. And what I am saying is these clear cash grabs and the desperation, which Concord is, this Horizon Hunters Gathering game is, fair game, I feel like, is that as well. And the heavy push in live service. Look, not everything is created equally, and I've said it before, with games like Marathon, Helldivers 2, it's just, there needs to be some rationale and some thought being put into greenlighting these live service games, and anybody, I'm not spitting, like, high IQ facts here, this isn't rocket science at this point, but at the same time, realize that these games, if one of them pops off, if Horizon Hunters Gathering does well, if Concord did well, if Fair Game does well, that's all they need. That's all they need to reinforce this thought process and decision making of, oh my god, we need to do more live service games. So yes, you can tell me I'm a hater, but as far as live service games that are created by new studios, that Sony's literally establishing these new studios, acquiring new studios to work on live service games, and games that are coming from studios that are spun into doing live service from what they used to do, and the games that a lot of you guys bought a PlayStation in the first place. It don't matter about you anymore. What matters is about taking your money, obviously, that's always been the game, but taking your money for a lengthy period of time and also taking other people's money for a lengthy period of time, and we don't care about doing the games that brought you into the PlayStation ecosystem in the first place, and that's what you can do when you no longer have any competition either. Remember that in the past, creating the Horizon Zero Dawns, the Days Gones, the God of Wars in the world, yes, they were created to create great games, to sell very well, etc., but they were also created to offer you a value proposition to pick the PlayStation 5 over the Xbox. That is one of the big factors, and with that value proposition, once you step into their ecosystem, they create passive revenue off of everything else going on, subscription services, game sales. Well, now people are just naturally choosing them as that ecosystem to go to because Xbox people aren't really buying, and now they realize we can make more passive revenue generating ecosystems within that ecosystem, and I can understand why that is so effective, why they view it to be so effective, I should say, but I can also say as the customer, I absolutely hate that. I don't want it to go down this direction, and for me, I want Horizon Hunters Gathering to fail and then them pushing to do Zero Dawn. I want some of these games to fail so badly so it teaches them a lesson. They'll learn from it. Concord, we need that to fail. Fair Game, hopefully that fails, because remember, you can tell me, oh, these are new studios being established. These are resources being invested by PlayStation directly. PlayStation, who have so many incredible IPs under their umbrella, they would rather ignore all of those and establish new IPs to create live service games to try to generate revenue for years and years. Look, I can understand the thought process behind it. I think anybody can. That doesn't mean I have to like it, and for the dedicated PlayStation fan, the core PlayStation consumer, it's worst case scenario, unless, you know, you're one of these people that are really excited for Horizon Hunters Gathering and you think it looks amazing, which, yo, more power to you. What I'm saying is, obviously, it's my opinion. Like, I think Horizon Hunters Gathering looks terrible. If you think it looks great, that's your prerogative, but let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. And it's upsetting to me because I genuinely like Horizon. I know Horizon is this very, very mixed reception series. Some people like it, some people don't. It's been successful, and I loved Horizon Zero Dawn. Horizon Forbidden West, I thought, got super wacky with the narrative, but I think from a visual standpoint, a world design standpoint, that game is incredible. But at the very least, we should want this narrative to wrap up. Horizon Forbidden West ended on a gigantic cliffhanger. It's not like there's impending disaster coming to the world of Horizon with how Forbidden West ended. Yeah, just leave me on the hook for potentially a decade? That's insane to me, but that'll do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, sound off there. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.